Hello, my friend, and welcome back to English in Mind, the space where we grow, not just in English, but in life. I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're walking to work, studying at a cafe, or simply relaxing at home, thank you for giving yourself this time. Let's talk about something that quietly hurts more learners than they realize: perfection. Yes, perfection. That idea we carry in our minds that if we don't do something perfectly, we shouldn't do it at all. Sounds familiar. I've seen it in so many learners. They start strong, they buy the books, download the apps, watch a few videos, and then they stop. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because they feel like they're not good enough yet. One mistake, one forgotten word, and suddenly they say, "I'll never speak well. I'm not ready." You see, perfectionism doesn't just slow us down. It stops us. It turns learning into pressure. It turns growth into fear. Let me tell you a story. A young woman named May started learning English in her 20s. She was bright, motivated, and full of dreams, but every time she spoke, she would pause. Not because she didn't know the words, but because she was scared of saying them wrong. She would rather stay silent than risk a mistake. One day after a conversation class, she cried. "I've studied for 2 years," she said, "but I still feel stuck." When I asked her why she started learning English in the first place, she smiled and said, "Because I want to live freely. I want to talk to people, travel, and express my ideas." That dream was still alive. But perfectionism was blocking the road. And maybe it's blocking yours too. Perfectionism tells us we should never fail. But the truth is, failure is the only way we grow. It's how babies learn to walk, how athletes get stronger, how writers become great. It's how you learned your first language by messing up again and again until it became natural. Yet somewhere along the way, we started believing that mistakes were something to fear. In English, learning perfectionism sounds like this. I don't want to speak until my grammar is perfect. I can't write this sentence because I'm not sure if it's right. Other people speak better than me. I'm not ready. But here's the thing. If you wait until you feel perfect, you'll never start. The need to be perfect creates something called analysis paralysis. That means you spend so much time thinking, correcting, preparing, that you never actually do the thing. You delay, you overthink, you lose momentum, and what's worse, you stop trusting yourself. Every mistake becomes proof that you're not enough. You begin to feel ashamed of being a beginner. And that's dangerous because shame kills progress. Think about a time when you wanted to try something new. Maybe it was speaking English in a group. Maybe it was starting a journal in English. Maybe it was posting your thoughts on social media. But you didn't. Why? Was it fear of being wrong? Fear of being judged? Fear of not doing it well enough? Now ask yourself this. What would have happened if you just tried? The truth is, the people who make the most progress in language learning and in life are not the ones who are perfect. They're the ones who keep going. They allow themselves to speak with broken sentences. They laugh at their mistakes. They try again. They stay consistent. And over time, their confidence grows. You see, perfectionism focuses on what's missing. Progress focuses on what's working. Perfectionism says, "You're not fluent yet." Progress says, "You used 5 new words today. That's awesome." Perfectionism says, "Your accent is bad." Progress says, "You spoke with courage. That's what matters." Perfectionism says you're behind. Progress says you're moving forward. Keep going. I want you to take a moment now, right here in this quiet space, and think about how perfectionism might be showing up in your life, in your English journey, in your work, in your goals. Where are you waiting for perfect before you take action? Where are you being too hard on yourself? And more importantly, how is that perfectionism holding you back? Because the truth is, you don't need perfect English to connect with people. You don't need perfect grammar to share your ideas. You don't need perfect pronunciation to be understood. You need something far more powerful. You need courage. You need consistency. You need the belief that you are allowed to grow imperfectly. At English in Mind, we believe in progress over perfection, because perfection is an illusion. But progress is real. It's visible, it's measurable, it's yours. So in this first part, I hope you've begun to see that chasing perfection will only slow you down. It will make you feel tired, ashamed, and stuck. But if you shift your focus to small wins, to daily effort, to showing up even when things aren't perfect, that's when everything begins to change. In the next part of our journey, we'll talk about how small wins build momentum, confidence, and long-term success. And I'll show you exactly how to start collecting those wins every single day. Stay with me. You're doing better than you think. Why small wins are a big deal. Let's continue this journey together. In part 1, we talked about the danger of chasing perfection and how it can quietly stop you from learning, growing, and believing in yourself. Now let's shift our focus to something far more powerful, small wins. You see, small wins are the quiet champions of personal growth. They are those little victories you often ignore, the steps so small they barely feel like progress. But over time, they build momentum, they build belief, and most importantly, they build a version of you who doesn't give up. Let's imagine something together. You're walking up a mountain. At the bottom, the peak looks far, almost impossible. You feel tired just thinking about it. But instead of looking at the peak, you focus on one step, then another, and another. After a while, you look back and you're not at the bottom anymore. You've climbed higher than you thought possible. That's what small wins do. In English learning, a small win might be understanding one new word during a podcast, saying hello to a stranger in English, writing a short paragraph in your journal, even with mistakes, watching a movie without subtitles and understanding a few lines, reading an email and getting the main idea. None of these will make you fluent overnight, but they are steps, and every step takes you forward. Here's something interesting from science. Psychologists say that small wins create something called a success loop. When your brain experiences a small success, it releases dopamine, a chemical that makes you feel good. That good feeling encourages you to try again. So the more you succeed, even a little, the more you want to keep going. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. It's better to study English for 15 minutes every day than to study for 3 hours once a month. Why? Because daily effort keeps the success loop alive. It keeps you connected. It tells your brain, I'm growing. But perfectionists don't see small wins. They skip them. They think only big achievements count, like passing a test, finishing a course, or speaking like a native speaker. That's a trap. Because if you ignore your progress, you stop feeling motivated. And when you stop feeling motivated, you stop trying. That's how good learners lose momentum, not because they can't do it, but because they forget to notice their wins. Let me tell you about a listener of this podcast. Her name is Rina. Rina moved to Canada from Indonesia. She studied English for years, but when she arrived, she felt completely lost. People spoke too fast. She couldn't follow conversations. She started to feel small, like a failure. But then she decided to change her approach. Every day, she set one tiny goal. One day, it was to ask someone for the time in English. Another day, it was to read one paragraph of the local newspaper. Some days, her only goal was to say thank you to the bus driver with a smile. She wrote down each win in a small notebook. After 2 months, she had 57 small wins. None of them were perfect, but together, they made her feel brave, confident, capable. She told me, for the first time in my life, I felt like English belonged to me, not to perfect people, to me. That's the power of small wins. They create a sense of ownership. You stop waiting to be ready. You realize you're already doing it. Let's bring this closer to your life. What if you celebrated your wins more often? What if, instead of saying, my English is terrible, you said, I understood that YouTube video today without pausing? What if, instead of saying, I can't speak, you said, I introduced myself today? That's something. And what if every time you took a small step, no matter how awkward or clumsy you wrote it down, one sentence, one win, one reminder that you're not stuck, you're moving. Here's a simple tool you can start using today, the Win Journal. It's not fancy, just a small notebook or a page on your phone. Every day, write one small thing you did in English. I read a comment on Instagram and understood it. I watched 5 minutes of a TED Talk. I wrote one sentence without Google Translate. At first, it may feel silly, but after 1 week, you'll see patterns. You'll see proof. You'll see growth. Because growth is not a leap. It's a gentle climb. Let's zoom out now. Small wins don't just help you learn English. They help you trust yourself. When you start honoring your small efforts, you start changing your identity. You stop saying, I'm bad at this, and start saying, I'm a learner. I'm someone who shows up. That shift is powerful because success is not about being the best. It's about being the most consistent, the most patient, the most willing to try, fail, and try again. Every fluent speaker you admire was once a beginner, just like you. And every step they took was small, quiet, often invisible. So don't be fooled by someone else's result. Respect your own process. In the next part, we'll explore exactly how to build daily habits that keep you moving, even when you feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. We'll learn how to make progress feel easy, natural, and automatic without needing motivation all the time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up. And you already are. Building daily habits that keep you going. Now that we've explored how small wins shape your confidence, let's talk about something even more practical. How to build habits that make progress feel automatic, like brushing your teeth or checking your messages. No pressure, no drama, just quiet, steady improvement. Let's begin with this truth. Motivation comes and goes. You already know this. Some mornings you feel excited to learn. Other days you feel tired, bored, or overwhelmed. That's normal. That's human. But habits don't ask for permission. They don't need inspiration. They just happen if you set them up right. So how do we build strong habits for learning and growing? Start with one powerful rule. Make it easy. Not big, not dramatic, easy. If your goal is to listen to English every day, don't start with an hour-long podcast. Start with 5 minutes while brushing your teeth, or a short video while waiting for the bus, or even just one sentence from a favorite quote or book. That 5 minutes might not feel like much, but it matters. Why? Because small, consistent actions are how habits are born. You're not trying to be a hero. You're trying to be reliable. Here's a story for you. There's a guy named David. He used to hate learning English. It reminded him of school rules, red marks, pressure. So he avoided it. Until one day he decided to try a new approach. No goals, just a habit. He wrote down this sentence. Every day I will open one English video and watch for 2 minutes. That's it. Not understand everything. Not take notes. Just open the video. Some days he stopped after 2 minutes, but many days he watched more. 10 minutes. 20. A full episode. And after a few months, he was watching whole documentaries without subtitles. That's how habits work. They grow when you don't force them. The key is to lower the barrier. We often think I need to study for an hour or it's not worth it. But that thinking creates resistance. If 1 hour feels hard, we give up before starting. But if 2 minutes feels easy, we start. And once we start, we often continue. That's called the 2-minute rule, a famous method used by productivity experts. It says, when you start a new habit, make it take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to read more in English? Start with 2 lines. Want to write in English every day? Start with 1 sentence. Want to improve your speaking? Start by saying 1 phrase out loud. You can always do more, but start small. Another helpful tip. Anchor your habit to something you already do. This is called habit stacking. It's simple and powerful. You just say, after I do this, I will do that. Examples. After I brush my teeth, I will listen to one English sentence. After I make coffee, I will write one line in English. After I turn off my alarm, I will say 3 words in English. This works because your brain already remembers the first habit. You just attach a new one to it. Now let's talk about environment. Your surroundings matter more than your willpower. If your phone is full of English content, guess what? You'll start clicking on. If your desk has an English book on it, guess what? You're more likely to read. Make English visible. Make learning easy to access. Remove friction. Also reward yourself. Your brain loves rewards. That's why games are addictive. Every time you take a small step, celebrate it. Say good job, smile, put a sticker on a page, or simply take a moment to notice your effort. This sounds silly, but it's not. The feeling of I did something is powerful. It tells your brain this is worth repeating. But maybe you're thinking, what if I skip a day? You will, and that's okay. No one is perfect. The goal is not perfection, it's recovery. If you miss one day, don't miss 2. That's the real rule. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is a pattern. So if you fall off the habit, forgive yourself and come back the next day. Like a friend returning to a conversation. No guilt, just grace. Before we end, let's connect all the pieces. Why does this matter? Because building small habits and celebrating small wins creates something bigger, a new identity. You stop saying, I want to learn English, and start saying, I'm someone who practices English every day. That identity is more powerful than any goal. And it doesn't just change how you learn, it changes how you live. You become someone who doesn't wait for motivation, someone who doesn't chase perfection, someone who shows up quietly, consistently, confidently. That's the kind of strength we build here at English in Mind. And also the kind of mindset we learn on Study Hack, where effort beats talent and persistence wins over fear. So as we end this episode, I want you to take a breath and ask yourself, what's one habit I can start today? Something so small it feels easy. Something you can do in 2 minutes or less. Something that moves you forward even one step. Write it down, anchor it to something, and begin. Your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to keep going. Because every small habit is proof you're still in the game.